After 2 brutal years of war, a ceasefire is now holding in Gaza. Israeli troops have begun a partial withdrawal from the territory, and the United Nations will resume deliveries of desperately needed food and medicines on Sunday. Hundreds of thousands of displaced Palestinians are on the move again, hoping to pick up their lives in their former homes. There's hope that the killing and hunger crisis are ending, but also dismay at the scale of the destruction.
With the ceasefire in Gaza finally in effect, thousands of Palestinians began the long journey to find what's left of their homes. But after 2 years of brutal war, barely any of the Strip's infrastructure remains. Families carried what little belongings they have as they made their way north to Gaza City, the scene of Israel's recent ground invasion, and now completely devastated.
Today there was some withdrawal by the Israeli army, and we returned to where we used to live on the basis that the places still exist. We're searching to find at least a mattress or a pillow, but I doubt we'll find anything with this extent of destruction.
With Khan Yunis also decimated.
We came to see our home, and we found a place that is unrecognizable in an unidentifiable town. Destruction is everywhere.
There is nothing, no life, but the people would like to go back. It's better if they build a tent on the ruins than stay away from their land.
For many Gazans, getting back to their land still isn't an option. The ceasefire deal means Israeli troops are retreating to an agreed line and still occupy much of the Strip's border areas. While the fighting has stopped, the humanitarian situation in Gaza remains dire. The UN says Israel has given the green light for it to begin delivering aid on Sunday. Authorities are also preparing for Israeli hostages to be released by Hamas.
This is a massive logistical operation also. On one hand, we have to be ready for this release operation, which will be a quite unique release operation. And on the other hand, we need to also be prepared for, hopefully, the massive entry of humanitarian aid into Gaza.
48 hostages are set to be returned, around 20 of them alive, in exchange for 250 Palestinian prisoners and 1,700 Gazans detained over the past 2 years. Those exchanges are set to take place on Sunday or Monday.
And joining me now is Olga Cherevko. She's a spokeswoman for the United Nations Office for the Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs, and she joins us from inside the Gaza Strip. Olga, it's good to have you with us. We hear that the UN will begin delivering humanitarian aid into Gaza this coming Sunday. Does that mean the tons of relief supplies that are basically waiting for delivery right now just outside the Gaza Strip, are they finally going to be brought across the border?
Thank you very much, Brent. We are ready to scale up the delivery as soon as possible. We have been delivering supplies and assistance and services to the people all along. We are picking up supplies every day from the crossings and are distributing them as much as we can. The issue is that the certain enablers that we need to be in place in order for us to scale up this delivery and implement our plan that Tom Fletcher was referring to, they're not in place currently. And so we are in need to ensure that these enablers are there. And these enablers include opening additional crossings. They include safety guarantees for both our staff as well as civilians, protection of civilians. They include things like visas for our staff, and of course, unrestricted flow of aid into Gaza. So we are ready to roll. And we have these thousands of tons of assistance in the various corridors across the region.
Okay, you're ready to roll, but if I'm understanding you correctly, the U.S.-led coordination center that is supposed to ensure the safe flow of assistance, that center is not yet ready for you to roll. Is that the message?
So the message is that we will have a role, obviously, to play, and we are looking forward to getting all the details on the exact parameters and the practicalities of how it will be done. What we have in place is this plan, and what we have is the physical supplies outside across the region, outside of Gaza, and we are hoping to implement this plan as soon as possible because obviously the need is extremely urgent, and the people are returning now to Gaza City and northern Gaza, and we will need to really have all hands on deck to make sure that we can reach everyone in need.
Will you be able to reach everyone in need? Is it your understanding that aid will be allowed into all areas of Gaza, including the parts of Gaza where the Israeli army remains?
Well, this is very important. The access bit of it is a very critical component to allow us to be able to reach everyone in need. And it has always been the case that we must be able to reach the people in need regardless of the situation on the ground. So this issue of unfettered access is something that we have been asking for, and we certainly hope that this opportunity will open up this aspect.
You know, the images that we've been seeing today of Palestinians walking and just a wasteland around them, trying to return to what remains of their homes. I can imagine that the psychological trauma from these 2 years of war have taken a huge toll on everyone. Do you see any way that this can be addressed in a timely manner?
You know, you're absolutely right. I think the mental health impact on the people in general, but especially children and especially vulnerable groups will be immense. And it already is manifesting itself in various ways. So, of course, we will continue to provide psychosocial support, mental health support, and other services, which, of course, also include things like education, which we will be focusing on by reopening temporary learning centers, because kids have now been out of school for 2 years. And this is having a really devastating impact on their psychological well-being. So,
before we run out of time, Olga, how confident are you that the infrastructure is in place or will be put in place that will allow the Palestinians to go from a ceasefire to peace to a peaceful coexistence with their neighbors?
Well, we are very hopeful, and this is something that I think we haven't been for a very long time. And this hope gives us this sense that, of course, we will have to have it's important that parties will keep respecting the ceasefire and that these steps will be taken towards a durable peace. But this is a very, very important moment now that we really have to seize every opportunity to reach the people with aid.
Yeah, very, very important work ahead of you. Olga Cherevko, we appreciate you taking the time to speak with us tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Brent.
For more, we can bring in Sam Rose, who's the acting director of UNRWA Affairs in Gaza. UNRWA, of course, being the UN agency for Palestine refugees in the Near East. Sam's joining us today from Oxford in the UK. Good to see you, Sam. Thank you for your time. UNRWA was forced to leave Gaza in March. Do you know whether you'll be able to return and resume your work there?
No, well, thanks for having me on, Anya. Good to see you again. No, we don't know yet whether this ceasefire deal implies a change in UNRWA's ability to operate inside of Gaza. But let me clarify, at the end of March, I was forced to leave with the remaining UNRWA international staff from Gaza. What has remained throughout and remained every day a constant throughout this 2-year war has been our national staff. Now about 12,000 national staff that continue to work, continue to provide services, and those services are needed more than ever, and we're committed to continuing those services, expanding and restoring them, and we hope that we will be able to bring in our humanitarian supplies, which are absolutely critical for keeping the ceasefire going.
Are you in contact with the new US-led task force that is apparently meant to facilitate the flow of aid into Gaza now?
No, as UNRWA, we're not in direct contact with the US, and of course, we're not in direct contact with Israeli officials. We've made clear to everyone what we have available, and that's 3 months of food aid for the entire population, enough shelter materials in the form of blankets and tarpaulins for hundreds and hundreds of thousands of people. And of course, importantly, the infrastructure, the assets, the staff, and the trust of the community inside of Gaza to make all of this work. So, I mean, we're intensely grateful for what has been achieved. And to support that on the humanitarian side, it's critical that UNRWA's assets are put to the disposal of the people of Gaza and to the wider humanitarian effort. Such is the scale of what UNRWA has to offer that the international community, the parties to the conflict, have a unique instrument available, and that really does need to be put to the best use right now, given the scenes that we're seeing on the television, the scenes that we've seen every day over the past 2 years, and the sheer misery that the population continues to go through.
As you say, Sam, that the need is extreme. The current ceasefire plan envisions a surge of food and medical supplies into Gaza. Let's say you and your teams could return immediately. What would be your priorities, and what do you think you'd be able to achieve if you were given the chance?
Look, in the first ceasefire, UNRWA brought in enough food in the first 4 days to feed 1 million people, so half of the population. We have those supplies outside. We have the assets and the people and the wherewithal inside to bring those supplies in. We're also uniquely placed to readjust and reorient our services to places that people are going back to. We're seeing people are starting to move north. We're already at work in Gaza City assessing our installations, looking at getting staff back to where those people are. And I'm talking about healthcare, garbage collection, water distribution, the real basics that are needed alongside trucks of aid to keep these things going. I mean, there's a massive security and safety effort that's needed as well. The amount of rubble that's on the streets, the amount of unexploded ordnance that will likely be inside of buildings and also on the streets and around houses, that will also have to be removed. But we already, as UNRWA, have a plan for which critical installations, facilities that we need to open. And we have a plan, of course, for the distribution of our aid, because it's what we've been doing in Gaza for the past 75 years, uninterrupted until March of this year when it ground to a halt.
Sam, thank you so much for your time today. That's Sam Rose from UNRWA.
Thank you.